Marco Andretti gets set. And his father is at the wheel of the two-seater. His passenger is Michael Girard from Campo, California, who won the Honda Fastest Seat in Sports contest by logging on to shophonda.com. Mario and Michael pacing the field here just before the green flag drops at Mid-Ohio. Will the points change again? Will we have a first-time winner? Will it rain? All these questions will be answered in the next 2 hours. Stay with us for the Mid-Ohio 200. Cars are on the track, and the start of the Mid-Ohio 200 is just moments away. Before that, however, Jan Vikas has a closer look at the track.
And Bob, of course, this course has a lot of variety of corners, and the very first corner is the fastest, 135 miles an hour, 4.5 Gs. Great passing zone in 2, which is known as the keyhole. They'll start the race there in 3 and the restarts, and great passing zones 4, 5, 6. And Wally, that's where you were talking about. There's oil dry. It's slippery in that section, then around to the final carousel and back to where the finish will take place on the pit straight.
There's a lap around the 2.2-mile racetrack, and at the top of your screen, you're going to be seeing the starting lineup. Now, 2 drivers took the 10-position grid penalty for unapproved engine changes. Alex Tagliani will be starting back in 13th, and Elio Castroneves, who has a 23rd starting position for this race. Now we have 6 on boards for you. At the top left of your screen, Brian Briscoe with the eyes on board, then J.R. Hildebrand, the National Guard camera. Verizon Wireless sponsors the camera carried by Will Power. GoDaddy.com for James Hinchcliffe. Firestone on board from Simon Pagino. And Giorgio Pontino has a Novo Nordisk on-board camera substituting for Charlie Kimball. Let's go to Marty as we check the latest stories from pit lane. Marty.
Well, Bob, for the 6th straight race, Dario Franchitti will start on the front row today. And I talked to him moments ago, and he said, listen, we know we're not in championship contention, but my focus has not changed for these final 4 races. We've obviously qualified well. We've raced well. We must now finish well. Do that in these final 4 races to put ourselves in contention to win a championship next year. Kevin?
What a difference a year makes for Simon Pagino. Last year he was in this race, but he was just visiting with some meetings on Saturday, and Justin Wilson broke his back. He was in the car. He had to borrow the racing equipment, brought it home. This year he's 7th in the championship. He's had his best qualifying effort of the season, 3rd, and he says he's got a real chance to win this weekend. Townsend?
Thanks, Kevin. I'm here in Giorgio Pontino's pit. I want to watch this guy today. He's got F1 experience, GP2 experience, but 5 days ago he got a call to replace Charlie Kimball. He's never driven at Mid-Ohio. He's never driven the new Dallara, and he hasn't driven for 11 months. It's going to be really interesting by the 3rd, 4th stint, whatever his strategy is at the end of this race, see how fast this guy is, guys.
Starting back in 24th position, and this broadcast is available in Spanish by activating your SAP button. All right, the cars begin their formation now. They will again start the race on the backstretch. They're headed down toward turn number 2. Nice formation of cars, 25 strong. Power and Franchitti are on the front row with Pagino and Dixon alongside in row number 2. Let's hope the weather holds. Let's hope we have a very safe and competitive race as the field now begins to move toward the starting line. And the green flag is out, and the Mid-Ohio 200 is underway. Power with a big jump. A lot of oil dry down there from a previous support race. Wow, look at this.
Oh, yeah. Justin Wilson in the middle. Red and white Sonny's Barbecue got sandwiched.
Man, look how close they are. Nearly 3 wide. That's Marco Andretti trying to get ahead of Sebastian Bourdais. There he is on the left. This is J.R. Hildebrand's on board, and Justin Wilson goes by on the outside.
Wow, and right ahead, that's Rubens Barrichello. And he gets sideways, and notice Wilson.
Wilson spins. Able to get going, however, and we will have no full course caution, and a big setback, however, for Justin Wilson, who spins on the opening lap. And lap 1 is led by Will Power. Dario Franchitti 2nd, then Pagino. 4th is Dixon. Hunter Ray, Newgarden, Bourdais, Andretti, Briscoe, and Barrichello. They're your top 10.
And push to pass. Oh, and we see Hildebrand go to the low side there, but the leaders, Will Power, even with the lead, is already using his push to pass to try and build that lead. That's Mike Conway to the inside of Hinchcliffe.
2x2 racing back here. That's Sato in the MyJack sponsored car. And with him is Tony Kanaan.
Oh, that's Alex Tagliani, the Barracuda machine, really leaning on Hildebrand.
Yeah, this is really the slickest part of the racetrack right now. You can see these guys just sliding everywhere, the dirt flying.
Talked about the elevation change. This is where they'll reach the lowest part of the racetrack. Wow. Simona De Silvestro there behind James Jakes.
Simona De Silvestro, green, white, and yellow with the Lotus power, but on a slick racetrack, she's on it. That's what she wanted because horsepower is lacking greatly. 10 miles an hour she was down in Edmonton, but here on a handling track, she's getting after it.
Wilson's trying to make his way back up. And Katsunemis was awfully careful on the start. If you watch at the beginning, he really laid back when they threw the green flag.
James Jakes trying to get to the inside and does pass Elio in turn number 1.
And Elio definitely has some type of issue that typically you would not have someone going to the inside. Townsend?
Yeah, guys, down here in Oriol Servia's pit, he has lost 4th gear. They're not sure if it's mechanical or software. They're working on the car. Frustrated look on Oriol's face. They're trying to get back out there.
Man, he has had some rough mechanical luck this year.
He's been the driver who has gained the most positions during the season, but the last couple of races he's had tough times. That's Ryan Hunter-Ray there ahead of Sebastian Bourdais and Marco Andretti.
And of course, Ryan Hunter-Ray has that new green color scheme, Pelotonia. Still the DHL Sundrop, but carrying those colors this weekend makes it stand out.
That's a charitable organization raising funds for cancer. And here's some early action.
This was awesome. 3 wide, and that's Rubens Barrichello that was right ahead, made that contact with Justin Wilson, and Justin comes right back.
And then
Marco Andretti tries to make it 3 wide, and Justin's like, whoa, excuse me.
And this was the ultimate result here. Yep.
Tries to dive down. Just a little bit of contact, but enough to spin him around.
There's Will Power leading this race by about a half a second over Dario Franchitti. The driver who has gained the most positions here in the first 3 laps, Joseph Newgarden, who has moved up 4 positions and is in 5th position. Mike Conway also up 4. Tagliani and Barrichello, who have gained 3 spots, and EJ Viso is up 2. The field now begins to get strung out just a little bit. That's Newgarden right there in the Sarah Fisher Hartman-owned car, right behind Scott Dixon.
Wow, great job for a rookie, and you're following the man who has the most success here, certainly recently for Scott Dixon. Nice job, Kevin.
And Joseph is a true rookie here. Remember, Indy Lights didn't race here last year. They're not here this weekend either, so his first opportunity at this track in any kind of car was in the test last week. But by yesterday, he said, I feel like I know this track, and I think we can get a good result this weekend.
A lot of talk, a lot of rumors in the paddock about where Joseph Newgarden will be next year. He does have 1 more year in his contract with Sarah Fisher Hartman Racing.
Now watch Sebastian Bourdais, blue and white. True car colors. He's on the push to pass, and it worked. It got him alongside Ryan Hunter-Ray, and he gets the spot. There has been a change for this race. The series now, when you hit the button for the push to pass, there is a 5-second delay. So what happened for Sebastian Bourdais, he hit the button before he went through the keyhole, and Ryan Hunter-Ray did not have an opportunity to respond because of that 5-second delay. Marty?
And that's exactly what Ryan is saying on the radio. and you hear him talking to the team. He said, something is wrong. I'm getting passed left and right. And it's got to be frustrating for a driver to, A, not know when someone else is on push to pass, but also they're in ultra full fuel save mode, Jan. This is a very tight two-window race, so you kind of have to slow down if you want to make it on 2 stops in this race.
Absolutely. You cannot go flat out if you think it's going to stay green. Now, we would say no possible way would this thing go without a caution, but didn't we say that in Edmonton?
See Bourdais now working on Joseph Newgarden. Bourdais is running in 6th.
And he's on it again.
7th.
Here he comes.
See if he leaves the inside open. You want to be on the inside when you make this move. Oh, I'll tell you what, he's holding on the outside.
Nice job, Sebastian.
Yeah.
That was a good, aggressive move around the outside. And also, nice job by Newgarden. And you're allowed to defend. You couldn't do that last year. Now you can, but Bourdais still gets by.
Bourdais drives for the Dragon team, and they've announced that they will have a second car in the Sonoma race, of course, driven by Catherine Legge, who has shared driving duties with Bourdais to this point. So Bourdais moves up yet another position. He's up to 5th. The top 5 are Power, Franchitti, Pagenaud, Dixon, and Bourdais.
Sure, Newgarden scratching his head on that one going, I didn't think you could do that.
Oh, Wilson's going around the outside of Piso. Maybe not.
This would be the battle for 17th position. Wilson trying to gain the positions that he lost on the spin.
And Justin Wilson only started 11th, but he had a much quicker car than that. He was fastest in one of the practice sessions yesterday, fastest in the first qualifying session, but they had a misfire in the second session, so that's why he was unable to get up any higher. And there we look at him making another move on E.J. Piso, though. So Justin Wilson is charging from the back, at least back up to the middle here so far.
Up to 17th with that pass of E.J. Piso. This is the 8th race that Will Power has led this season. That's the most of any driver. It's the 3rd straight year and 4th time he has led at Mid-Ohio. We'll be back with more from Mid-Ohio. You're watching ESPN on ABC as we go side by side.
Back at Mid-Ohio, second place man in the championship, Helio Castroneves leading pit road. There was nothing wrong with the car when we saw him earlier. He just wanted the primary tires off and the softer red Firestones on there. They're much faster. You saw in side-by-side, Tony Kanaan came in, James Hinchcliffe came in, Graham Rahal came in. So several pit stops, all of these guys banking on a three-stop strategy working in this race, Bob.
But you also saw on side-by-side something that Jan told us was going to happen earlier because there was some very tight surroundings there in the pit area.
When you only have 35 feet to work with, it takes some cooperation. Look at that. Just got to pull your foot back because it is oh so tight when you pit together.
So a lot of pit stops have taken place. There is James Hinchcliffe, who falls back to 19th position because of the pit stop.
And Bob, as Marty mentioned, anyone who took that early round of stops is committed to a three-stop race. Anyone who stays out still has a shot at making it a two-stopper.
Some Firestone telemetry here as Hinchcliffe heads down to turn number 2.
Should get over 160 on the way to the keyhole. Then it's second gear. Fastest straightaway, almost 175 as you approach turn 4.
Will Power continues to lead. The advantage is now 1.3 seconds over Dario Franchitti. There's Pagano third, then Dixon, Bourdais, Newgarden, and Ryan Hunter-Reay, Marty.
Their championship leader, Bob, is struggling right now, and most all the teams that started on the red, softer Firestone tires, they all started on sticker tires. Well, all of the Andretti cars started on scuffed or used red tires, and that's what happened to Ryan Hunter-Reay. He keeps telling the team the car is absolutely terrible. He's asking how many laps were on these tires before we put them on, so you've got to wonder if that strategy, going with the scuffed reds and saving the sticker ones for later in the race, is maybe hurting them a little bit right now.
Battle going on here. Marco Andretti is involved in this battle.
Briscoe leading the group.
Briscoe, Barrichello, Tagliani, Conway.
And Bob, Marco Andretti suffering from mid-corner understeer with a snap oversteer at the exit. He's having a great race, given his recent struggles on the road and street courses. Until this track gets rubbered in, I think a lot of guys are going to struggle with mid-corner understeer.
And of course, what Townsend is talking about, Wally, is the rain was so hard last night, it completely washed off this racetrack, and the handling of the car completely changes as you just start to lay some rubber down on the racetrack, and the teams are always trying to think ahead. Kevin?
Well, Graham Rahal started off the silly season for possible driver changes a few days ago when he announced he is a free agent and might move on its season, and he's still open to returning to Ganassi, but after he got left out when sponsors went away at Newman Haas a few years ago, he wants to make sure he keeps things in his own hands. He is looking at other opportunities, would like to have something done in a week or so, and has already been contacted by several teams, including his dad's team. Many people think Rahal Letterman is his best option. Bobby said that he's going to treat him like he would any other driver as we look to E.J. Viso making a pit stop here. And he says it's about 50-50 that he might be able to secure Graham for next year. Mike Cole says they'd still like to keep him with Ganassi, and they are committed to 4 cars for next season, but they have to get the program fully in place. That was a drive-through, by the way, for E.J. Viso, so he's back out on the course.
Yeah, Takuma Sato also had one for speeding on pit lane, and the speed limit, by the way, is 50 miles an hour. Viso comes out just ahead of the leader of the race. There he is, Will Power.
And if you're Graham, you got to kind of throw it out there at this point in the year. I mean, you've got 4 races left. This is one of your best racetracks. So if you're going to be looking for something next year, this is the time to do it.
This track hasn't been kind to him, though, being his home track. And you noticed on the onboard there that his teammate, the substitute we talked about, Giorgio Pantano, is actually closing on him. And that's a guy that Rahal definitely wants to be. At the end of the day, you got to beat your teammate.
From our leader down into Thunder Valley once again. Just about to complete the 13th of 85 laps.
I think if Justin Wilson wouldn't have spun out, he'd probably be in the top 5 right now. He is flying.
Yep.
Been watching his lap times. Definitely one of the quickest cars out on the racetrack right now. Just And it's amazing he's running where he is, considering he was pointing the wrong direction on the first lap.
Wilson is currently in 14th position. Townsend is standing by with the guy who's being substituted for here today by Pontono.
Yeah, thanks, Bob. Charlie tried to call me, but it went straight to voicemail. Charlie, what's it like standing here for the first time this season and really since your IndyCar career started and watching another guy pedal your car?
It's very tough, you know. Having seen it the first time outside of the cockpit, I have to say the 83 no-log flex pen car looks really good. Doesn't look quite as good with Giorgio's helmet compared to mine in there, I think, but he's doing a good job. They're running quick, sort of did an alternate strategy to start with. You know, I don't know what the weather's going to do here, but he's quick. They've just gotten him on some fresh reds, and he's putting in the lap times now.
Now, I've heard that this is maybe a little bit more serious than you've led on. Is it true you're going to try to come back for Sonoma?
Yeah, there's a test there in a couple of weeks. Maybe do some limited laps there. You know, at least that's my time frame. I don't know what the doctors are thinking. The therapy's going really well. The surgery went exactly as planned. You know, as soon as I can be, I'll be back in the car. The momentum the whole Novo Nordisk Chip Ganassi Racing team's built this year, we need to finish strong.
All right, guys, well, the battle for second is tightening up. This guy ready to get back in the seat.
You know, and Charlie's a really nice guy. But when you're in that position, I don't care what anybody says. When you're in that position, you're secretly rooting against that guy that's driving your race car. I don't care what anybody says. I mean, you know, you want the team to do well, but there's nothing worse than watching somebody else drive a race car.
And you may have seen on the graphic it turned green, meaning that Dario Franchitti is using some push to pass, and that would be defensively because he's seeing in the mirror that Simon Pagenaud is closing in.
And I must say that his comment about dialing him up on the phone almost went over my head. Thank goodness I looked at Jan, who was smiling. Then I got it.
That's a little driver insight. Went straight to voicemail when he tried to put Townsend in the car. That was good. Because Pontono picked up his phone.
Yeah. Again, we're watching the battle for second position. Dario Franchitti showing a little bit different colors this weekend for Target Chip Ganassi Racing, and Simon Pagenaud in the HP car right behind him.
And guys, we heard a little piece of the radio conversation. That was Dario Franchitti saying, guys, my front tires have gone. I have zero front grip. So he's doing all he can to hang on to second. Here comes Alex Tagliani down pit road. One of those who's going to play the three-stop strategy. They're going to put on sticker reds coming onto his car. They also had reds on to start off with. Also coming down pit road, Justin Wilson, Kevin.
And Justin has made his way from the back up to 14th, and now it looks like they've got a problem on the right rear. He came in earlier because they were losing too much grip on the red tires, weren't making up more time back to the primary blacks, but they lost all kinds of track position with this issue on pit road.
Wow. Tough break for Justin Wilson, the second tough break of the day. He spun on the opening lap, and now problem on pit lane. Will Power continues to lead here at Mid-Ohio over Franchitti, Pagenaud, Dixon, and Bourdais. Your top five with 15 laps completed. right, let's take a look at who has made the biggest move since we dropped the green flag. Simona De Silvestro has moved up to 14th, gaining 8 positions. James Jakes up 7 from his 20th starting position. And Ed Carpenter has also gained 6 positions. He is up from his starting position in 25th. Here's a replay at the end of the backstretch. We saw Barrichello move on Andretti.
Oh, and Marco thought about going to the apex and just at the last moment unwound the wheel.
Barrichello did a nice job rolling that in there, too.
Yeah.
He just kind of let that car float in there. And I tell you, Dixon's kind of joined the fray here.
Yep.
He's catching these guys.
Well, if Dario has said his front tires are going away, obviously he's backing up to these other two. Dario has also started to use a little bit of push to pass. You start with 100 seconds. Dario's down to 75. He's been doing that to try and stay out of the clutches of Pagenaud.
And then, I thought he was going to take a look.
Back here in 6th and 7th are Joseph Newgarden and Ryan Hunter-Reay. Right behind them is Ryan Briscoe.
Hunter-Reay down to 71 seconds.
Hey guys, I think he's using that push to pass without permission, because I think he told the guys, he said it would be nice if I could be aggressive here and get around some of these guys. Michael Andretti told him on the radio, we can't afford that right now. Still saving fuel. So I think he's kind of using it and nobody really knows about it. Although they have the telemetry on their box, don't they?
That's a great indicator. I was going to say, Marty, that if they're telling him not to use it, because the way that I see Will Power, Franchitti, and Pagenaud running, it doesn't look to me by the lap times like they're saving fuel. Not if you're going to make it a two-stopper. And some of these back behind might be doing that.
There are the 3 Andretti Autosport drivers and where they are running. Hunter-Reay leading the procession in 7th, and Andretti 10th, and James Hinchcliffe, who has already made a pit stop, in 15th.
Mercedes right there, Hunter-Reay in between these two guys.
He's breaking the rules again.
Yeah. He's 20 seconds less, 25 seconds less now than the guys he's racing against.
Were you telling me something on the radio? Didn't hear that.
To break it up.
Ryan Hunter-Reay finished 7th in Edmonton 2 weeks ago, but prior to that won 3 races in a row. That has helped him go to the points lead, which if points were determined right now, Will Power would be back in the points lead by one single point over Ryan.
He is. Ryan said, Briscoe's all over me. Yep. You ride with Briscoe.
Simona De Silvestro and Hinchcliffe are 14th and 15th. We expect a pit stop from Simona momentarily. Hinchcliffe, as I indicated, has already made 1 pit stop.
And I think 3 stops is the way to go, I think, because you get fresher tires. I think it's a real stretch on your tires if you try for 2.
As predicted, here's Simona.
All right, guys, she's got an open stop coming in. She's going to sticker black tires. Sunoco fuel going in the car here. Everything going smooth, calm, collected. No issues. She's off and away. Having a good day.
9.1 seconds.
And you're going to use probably more tires. Because it's a green racetrack, it's going to be a little bit more abrasive, so you're going to run off your tires quicker. So I agree on. I think the 3 stop is the way to go, just because you're going to use more tires up today because it's not rubbered in.
So how far can you go before you have to make a pit stop?
If you're on the 2-stop strategy, at some point you actually have to go, your first stint, you'd have to go 28 laps.
Okay.
So if they go 28, you know that they want to leave the door open for 2-stopper.
Big lead now for Will Power. It amounts to 3.1 seconds. Power over Franchitti, 3 seconds. But then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 are running very close together.
They're getting closer, that's for sure.
Simon just radioed in that he's developed a vibration on the left side of the car and doesn't know what it is. Up until then, the car had been very good, has been his report when he's been asked both times. So we should be seeing everybody come in here in the next few laps and address any issues. Newgarden has also said he's picked up a vibration and he thinks he's ready for new tires as soon as possible.
I wonder how many of these guys thought they could do the 2-stop and now they're being forced to do a 3-stop. They got to go another 7 laps, right?
Yes. If
you're going to do a two-stop.
If you start losing time with your tires and you pit, it's one of these things where, well, let's save fuel in case we go on to do two stops. Then if your tires don't feel good, we'll make it into a three-stop.
Firestone telemetry here on Simon Pagenaud.
That's the fastest corner on the racetrack. As I mentioned in the open, 4.5 G's of side load. That thing really gets your attention. And then hard braking. The braking force going into the keyhole is 3.5. Just feels like it wants to throw you right out of the car.
Franchitti on lap number 12 was 1.7 seconds behind. He is currently 3.2 seconds behind.
On that last shot, you could see, we talked about the rubber being laid down, going up over the top of the hill there in turn 5. You can actually start to see you can actually see it physically building up on the racetrack because they're all on the same line.
We'll be back with more from Mid-Ohio in a moment after this message from our AVC stations. Back in Mid-Ohio, where Joseph Newgarden was running 6th. He's in for a stop.
And it's been a good run so far for Joseph Newgarden as he takes off the alternates. He puts on the primary blacks from 9th as high as 5th, running 6th right now. Along with Simona Di Silvestro, they're the only 2 drivers full-time in the series that don't have a top 10 this season. Good stop for Newgarden. There's Rubens Barrichello also with a good, clean stop.
And of course, Kevin, this happens on lap 25. James Jakes also leaving pit road. Those cars are not, unless there's a real long extended yellow, they now are not going to make it 2 stops. Those who stay out on the track are still alive.
So how long do you run? So how long do you run on the blacks then? On the primaries? If you're in this mode,
a 2-stop strategy means you have to run one stint.
Yeah, but they're not in a 2-stop strategy. They stop too early for a 2-stop strategy.
Yeah, they could run 10, 15 laps.
And then go back.
Yes,
Yeah.
Marty?
And to add to all this, Tim Cindric just told Will Power all those guys behind you are going to stop before you. So they're going to stay out later than all the guys behind them. So they'll put on the primary tires. They'll be on them for a long time. Scott Dixon should pit very soon, however. But, Jan, you and I were just talking about during the break, they've been very fast in that 12 car with Will Power on older tires all weekend long.
J.R. Hildebrand running in 10th position. He comes in for a stop. Our onboard camera showing you the work being done by the Panther team.
Anna Chatton at the back. You saw the feature in the pre-race. Gives a little push on the rear wing. Nice job with the air jack. By the way, 15% of the active military is female.
Good stat. He rejoins the hunt.
Oh, look at this hunt up here.
Wow.
Will Power was off to the races, and I wonder if he's dialed it back just a little to get one more lap after hearing that conversation from Tim Cindric about the other people behind you will be stopping sooner.
Jan, they did go to a different map for Will Power to get him one more lap than everybody else. You are correct.
Well, you can see that immediately. All of a sudden when a guy changes that strategy. I want to know how Tim Cindric knows all the guys behind him are pitting earlier. Hey, well, he's right, isn't he? Here they all are.
Yep. Pagano, Franchitti, Ryan Hunter-Ray, all in, Townsend.
Yeah, Bob, I'm here with Marco Andretti. Pits from 8th place. Sticker black tires going on. Full of gas. He's a little bit of hiccup on his way. Marty?
Ryan Hunter-Ray, the very first pit stall on pit road. You see Dario Franchitti, who went out just behind him for Ryan Hunter-Ray. Tremendous understeer. They put a round of front wing in for Ryan Hunter-Ray. For Dario, they tried to get him some front grip back with air pressure adjustments and 4 new tires for all of the guys leaving pit road.
There goes Mike Conway back onto the track. So now Power and Dixon have not pitted.
Yeah, and those are the two people, if you were going to pick who is best at fuel save, that's the first people you'd put. Scott Dixon, probably number 1, and number 2. Wow, how does Tim Cindric know that? These are guys who are running Hondas. They're on different teams, and he knows exactly what everybody else is doing.
Here they are. 1 and 2. Power and Dixon make their first pit stop of the day, Kevin.
Dixon will get to his marks just barely a moment as Power squeaks in front of him. Dixon will, if he beats him, will try to get around Will Power, and they're also going to see a car pitted. That's Ryan Briscoe about 2 stops in front. Dixon takes a wing change, and he gets out just in front, but who's going to beat him to the corner? It's Will Power. Gets the edge coming out.
Wow. Because Dixon actually started to roll first.
Yeah.
And Bourdais, you see Bourdais coming out of the pits. He also was able to nurse his fuel the same distance as the 2 in front. Nice job. And Hinchcliffe slots in. Look at all this action coming into the keyhole. That's Tagliani.
Yikes. Oh, can Han
That's
Simon
Ryan.
Pagano.
just passed them all?
Ryan Briscoe's the guy they're trying to get around. Man.
Pagano is on the push to pass. They're everywhere. Tagliani now goes to the inside.
And there's Ryan Hunter-Ray.
What happened to
off the pace.
Something happened. Something happened to Tagliani. All of a sudden, he slowed dramatically. Now he's back on it again. Wow, that was odd. Maybe he just got out in the marbles while he just had to wait to go for the throttle. It just made it look like he was backing up.
Hey, what the Tony Kanaan made the move there.
Oh, yeah.
The keyhole.
The leader of the race is James Hinchcliffe as Marco Andretti and Ryan Briscoe are side by side with Hildebrand looking on.
Briscoe's lost a lot of ground all of a sudden, too, when he was behind Pagano.
That's 8th and 9th.
Oh, something's going to happen here.
Yeah, we're gonna see some push to passes used here, I think, right now. Marco's probably on it right now.
I think Hildebrand's going to try and take advantage.
Well, Power was able to make the stop without losing the lead, so James Hinchcliffe did not go to the front, as our scoring momentarily indicated. So it's Power and Dixon running first and second, and then Hinchcliffe.
This is a battle for second place. Hinchcliffe is not on the same pit strategy, but he's on the red sidewall Firestones, which are faster. He's racing against two guys on the black primaries. He should be faster.
Hinchcliffe coming off a 12th place finish at Edmonton and a disastrous 22nd place finish in his home country of Toronto. Let's take a look at this again.
This was, I mean, it just looked like those guys were still worried about each other. And it just left a big spot for Tony to turn underneath and say, I'll take this while you guys are fighting it out.
Now let's see what happened to Tagliani. Barracuda Network. See right there.
Just like a shut. Well, he could have, like you said, he could have pushed down there in the marbles, but it's almost like shut off all of a sudden.
Just in the middle of the corner. All of a sudden started to back up, and he was right back after again. Will Power using a little push to pass to defend.
Well, here come the three stoppers. Elio Castroneves, the first of those to hit pit road. It'll be sticker red tires for Elio, so the car had a little bit too much understeer for him, and they'll head back out. They have one more stop as well.
Yeah, I think these guys are going to need a caution to even get back in it.
And James Hinchcliffe, sorry Bob, is pushing hard, but he's also, you heard Marty mention the three stoppers making pit stops. It won't be that much longer, and Hinchcliffe's going to have to hit pit road. So he says, while I have a chance, I got to go after Dixon.
Power begins to stretch the advantage. It's up to almost a second now over Dixon. There's Sebastian Bourdais, who's running fourth.
Tony Kanaan, here he comes.
Kanaan will try to pass Bourdais into turn number 2. And he will get it on the outside.
Tony Kanaan, obviously, while he had big-time speed in turn 1.
Yeah, that's another. These guys are making some passes I didn't think he could do at this place.
Giorgio Pontino is in, Townsend.
Yeah, Giorgio's having a decent race. His pace is good. He's got sticker reds. He's back out and away. His second stop.
Keeping it below 50 miles an hour through pit lane, back on the racetrack. It's Power, Dixon, and Hinchcliffe running first, second, and third, and then back and forth.
There were a lot of pit road speed penalties. You mentioned that 50 miles an hour. It's the first year they've done that. It's always been 60. And quite a few people who have raced here a lot are just used to getting on the brakes and hitting 60 at the mark instead of 50. That actually caught up people out already in the race.
Tony Kanaan running in fourth position, and he is laid out on pit lane, so he should be making a stop probably next time around. And these guys on a 3-stop strategy, while some are trying a 2-stop. Battle for 10th position between Briscoe and Hildebrand. Briscoe with a nice move to the inside.
Graham Rahal making his second stop off sequence. He was not happy at all after qualifying. He said they didn't make any improvements to the car from the first session, and this Sunoco pit stop puts him back out with maybe some clean track to get going. He said the first day the blacks were actually better than the reds. They just couldn't get the handle on the reds. Hopefully they have it now from their standpoint.
Here comes his teammate.
There's Hinchcliffe. He's peeled off from third position, and so has Tony Kanaan. So third and fourth in, Townsend.
Yeah, Bob, Tony Kanaan, by virtue of saving these red tires, he's got another set of sticker reds. This guy is flying, passing through the field. Kevin.
James Hinchcliffe making his second Sunoco pit stop. Let's take a look at Kanaan coming down the pit lane, and Hinchcliffe is easily going to beat Kanaan back out on the course, and let's see where Hinch will cycle back in after he makes his second pit stop.
Only a half-turn wing for James Hinchcliffe, so his car's pretty close. And look at Scott Dixon. He's pressing Will Power.
At one time, Power had more than a 3-second advantage on Dario Franchitti when he was running in second, but right now Franchitti is fourth, and Scott Dixon is staying right up with Power.
They both stopped on the same lap, which means they're both on the same strategy. So this is racing to a fuel number. Both the two of them have to make exactly the same number of laps.
Yana, I don't know if you heard, but Dixon's just called in. He felt a few raindrops out there, and down here in pit lane, it's just started to whimper a little bit, kind of off and on. We'll see what happens.
Now that would play in. That's something that a lot of crews were talking about. If we're committed to a two-stop strategy, does that give us enough flexibility to come in and get rain tires? Because the three-stoppers might have an advantage.
Takuma Sato, Marty.
Well, he said on that last run to Bobby Rahal, the car is a little bit better, but obviously they're going to need to get a caution here to get back into the game. It'll be sticker red tires for Takuma Sato. You see no wing adjustments for Takuma, and this should wrap up the guys who are actually Alex Tagliani will come next lap as well. That will wrap up the guys who are going to make it in 3 stops. Starting to rain a little bit in Mid-Ohio. The 3 stoppers are gone. Some interesting things developing. 35 laps in the book. Will Power still the leader here in Mid-Ohio.
Bob, from the aerial, you may have seen the white car of Sebastian Bourdais really close in behind Scott Dixon. Remember, he is the 3rd driver in that group that waited until lap 28 to pit, so he's on the same strategy, and he's fast on that back straightaway.
Bourdais is having his best race of the season so far. He did finish 9th at Barber in the 2nd race of the year. That has been his only top 10 finish, and this is his 9th race of the year. As I said, he shares a ride with Catherine Lake. Finished 15th at Edmonton a couple of weeks ago, but today is running in 3rd position.
Oh, Graham Rahal just passed his dad's team and Takuma Sato, and now his teammate Giorgio Pantano is working on Sato as well.
And Rahal moves to 18th. Sato is back to 19th.
Gave it a try early in 2. It looked like he had him, but boy, he had to lock that right front up to avoid contact with Sato.
And I believe that it was a year ago he did something similar and he couldn't get it stopped and ended up in the gravel trap, did Graham Rahal. So he's obviously learned a good lesson there, and he made it happen at the other part of the racetrack.
Yeah, and you don't want to knock your dad's car on the grass.
No.
Mike Conway comes out of
and
the
here
pits.
comes Pantano. Pantano is going to try and make the same sort of move on Sato.
Let's see if he gets it done. Nope. Ooh. Too close to the corner to make a move.
What Pantano, I bet, is going to use to push to pass here.
This is 6th.
And he is. Here he comes. All right, we've seen a couple people take it on the outside. Oh! He drove by him in the braking zone.
Again, carried a lot of speed in there. That was
nice.
Very impressive.
Yeah.
Well, guys, the longer this race goes on, the more experience Pantano gets with this racetrack, this race car, this race team. Look for him to be really quick at the end.
Pantano moves to 18th as Rubens Barrichello, Kevin, hits pit lane.
Second Sunoco pit stop for Rubens Barrichello as well. He's going to the sticker reds. The rain has stopped. It was just sprinkling, but Barrichello is one of those that would be fine if it rained. His first Formula One win in Hockenheim came when it started raining. Everyone else went to rain tires. He stayed out on stickers and went from the back to the front. As we watch him cycle back in the mix here today.
I just think this group right here is just out of luck unless there's a caution.
Oh, yeah.
They're just way too far behind even the middle of the pack. They're, 30 seconds off. So the only thing that's going to save them is a caution right now.
Barrichello comes out just ahead of behind Elio Castroneves in 20th spot.
Castroneves is going to take a hit there in the points.
Yeah, he is.
It finishes like it does.
Hasn't been his weekend from his incident in practice yesterday and then taking the 10 grid penalty for an unapproved engine change. Here he is racing with Takuma Sato, trying to get 18th spot.
And here these two were racing for the lead at the last race in Edmonton, and now they're racing way back in the pack for 18th and 19th.
We on as promised. Alex Tagliani coming to pit road. They'll put on sticker primary black tires for tags. This car had a little bit of understeer on that last run, but obviously ran up with the top 5 when he was able to stay up there. But now that 3-stop strategy, and Wally, I agree with you, they're going to need a caution for these guys to get back into the game.
Yeah, I think Power and Dixon are really sitting in a good position right now if this thing stays the way it's going.
Yeah, and Bourdais.
And Bourdais, yes. Yep.
Here is Briscoe and Newgarden running 8th and 9th, and we are nearing the halfway point of this race already with no caution flags to this point. Let's take a look at Briscoe and Newgarden as they battled for the 8th position.
Back straight away. Whoa.
Oh.
Wow.
Up
Over
on the
curb.
Yeah.
That's some hard racing.
Meanwhile, back up front, it's still well-powered, leading Scott Dixon, Sebastian Bourdais. There's Dario Franchitti 4th. 5th is Simon Pagenaud, and 6th is Ryan Hunter-Reay.
And Bob, you mentioned no cautions. Also, no DNFs. Did not finish. Everyone is still running.
Yeah, only one car not on the lead lap. That is Oriol Serbia. There are the points as they run right now, with Ryan Hunter-Reay back in front by 1 single point over Will Power.
Dixon's making a pretty big jump there in points.
Yep.
Now, the one thing that Sebastian Bourdais has done differently there in 3rd is he's on the red sidewall Firestones. The 2 ahead are on the black. So he's doing the same pit strategy, but different tire strategy. So it'll reverse. When the cars ahead go back to reds, he's going to have to take, well, let's see what he started with, though. Bourdais started on the red, so he has 1 stint coming on blacks.
And I do everything I could to try to get out front.
Yeah.
Because if he's going to be on the blacks and those other 2 are going to be on the reds, that's
not
going to be
work
difficult.
as well.
Yeah.
James Jakes running in 10th position. There's Marco Andretti, who is 11th. Here comes Hinchcliffe in 12th, and
Wilson in the pits.
Down to Kevin.
And Justin Wilson has had to charge from the back after a spin on lap 1. He was running 12th before this stop. He's obviously off sequence. This is his 2nd Sunoco pit stop of the race, and he goes to the primary blacks on this stint.
He showed so much promise, but they just seem like they're not clicking on pit road today.
Yeah, you could tell in the pit, during the pit stop, you could see his frustration.
Oh, yeah.
Fast pace here at Mid-Ohio. You're watching ESPN on ABC as we go side by side. 21 laps to go. Let's get up to speed, Marty.
And we get up to speed with Will Power, who's making it look easy today. You know, he told us in the pre-race show we have to make the most of our opportunities. And he told me off camera, this is one of our best opportunities. Will Power started first, currently is first, as you see. He was worried about Sebastian Bourdais back in third, how many push-to-pass seconds he had left. Tim Cender told him, just worry about your race car, go forward. Kevin?
And right behind him is Scott Dixon, and as strong as Power has been, and we knew he would be, Dixon is the guy to watch. Is a three-time winner here. Emerson Fittipaldi has also won 3 times here. He was just told, even though you're getting good fuel mileage, we still will be 2 laps short with 1 more stop. Right behind Scott Dixon, running in third position, is Sebastian Bourdais, having one of his best runs of the year. And it shouldn't be coincidence, because this is the first race where they've actually tested and they've come to race. They were here last week. Marty?
Kevin, believe it or not, for Dario Franchitti, his last podium finish was Belle Isle in early June. He told me, we have to finish better today. I just want a top 5 out of the afternoon. Remember, he complained about the understeer earlier. That is gone on this run, Kevin.
Simon Pagenaud was looking for a good result again after he was rolling through the start of the season. He dealt with his first DNF since his first race in Champ Car in 2007 at Edmonton, when he took what was called avoidable contact from Charlie Kimball in the last lap. So far, so good. No real issues for Pagenaud after they took care of that vibration. Marty?
Our championship leader, Ryan Hunter-Reay, currently in the 6th position, hanging on in a little bit different colors this week, the Pelotonia colors for Ryan Hunter-Reay this weekend. He was actually telling me he hoped for rain today because he felt his car was really good in the rain so far, holding in on the dry, Townsend.
Marty, J.R. Hildebrand obviously honoring women in the military today. This is exactly the kind of run they've needed. It's a breath of fresh air. They are faster than every car in front of them, but they will be roughly 5 laps short when they pit again if it stays green. Marty?
Brian Briscoe back in 8th. He did not like how the leader cycled back out into everyone else in traffic. He felt like the guys cut him off earlier, especially Tony Kanaan. He felt like the air pressures on the run before this were a little too low, so they brought those up. That has not been a problem on this run, Kevin.
Next, we move back to Joseph Newgarden, who's having a strong run, looking for that first top 10 of the season. He said the season has not gone the way they wanted, but he has been able to make progress as a driver. And despite looking for more results, they're far ahead of where they started this season. He has a much better understanding of the flow of the race. Then we have James Jenks running in the 10th position. He celebrated his 25th birthday yesterday with some new friends. He has a fan club here. The Jakesy Nation is, some of them are from Canada, some from the Columbus and Cleveland area, and they have formed about 25 strong here. They had what they called the Jakesy Jamboree here this weekend. Running in 11th is James Hinchcliffe. He's been able to work his way up a few spots. He's one of those on the 3-stop strategy. He felt good coming in here. They had a good test. They got caught up in traffic yesterday, though, in qualifying, so he feels like he's got a pretty good race car, but it's so difficult to get track position here. Townsend?
Tony Kanaan running in 12th place. He did not have the qualifying run he wanted, but he's been fast. He's on a 3-stop strategy. If it stays green, he could be sitting pretty, saving those red tires. Back from Tony Kanaan, we've got Marco Andretti. A good, solid run based on his prior struggles in recent races on road and street courses. I'm always trying to dig a little personal information out of Marco. I'm saying, what's going on in the rest of your life? He just looked at me deadpan and said, racing is my life. Marty?
Alex Tagliani back there on the 3-stop strategy as well. We're going to have to wait and find out exactly where that race car is. And there's Tags way back in the field. And he said his car had a little bit of understeer on the very first run. They adjusted that with some wing, and actually it's been a lot better ever since. Right behind him, Graham Rahal. Kevin?
Well, this is Graham's home track. He said everybody expects me to be so much better here than other places, but the reality is he hasn't raced here that much. He didn't race here coming up, and he hasn't spent a lot of time here in IndyCar, but he still loves the area, loves being around home, and having an opportunity to get a good result. It's going to be tough today, but he's still working at it.
And those are the top 15. Pontano is 16th, Sato 17th, and Castro Neves, Barrichello, Conway, Wilson, Viso, Carpenter. De Silvestre was now a lap down, Serbia 7 laps down, but we have 23 cars still on the lead lap. 37 laps to go, and Mid-Ohio will return after this message from our ABC stations. 35 laps to go in the Mid-Ohio 200. Here's Jan with a recap of what's happened so far.
And, of course, it was a crazy start right from the green flag. And as they went into the fifth corner, it was Justin Wilson who found himself in the sandwich and then spun after making contact with Rubens Barrichello. Then it's a battle between Sebastian Bourdais, he's moving his way to the front, and Joseph Newgarden, who also is moving forward. Tight moments in the pits. Get your leg out of the way. Hinchcliffe on a 3-stop strategy, as well as Rahal. But the 2-stop strategy for Willpower, Dixon and Bourdais at the moment seems like the strategy you want to be on.
I just think it's just amazing that, you know, Kevin mentioned that Dixon was 2 laps short on this strategy. I mean, that's a lot to try to all of a sudden change your fuel mileage to try to, you know, make up that 2 laps.
But I don't necessarily believe every radio communication that I hear, because a lot of times they'll throw them out there saying, hey, we're 2 laps short, we're 2 laps short. And the idea is they want other teams to hear that, and so they'll back off. Because he went the exact same number of laps as Power, so what would change? To me, he's on the same cycle.
We do have a great Chevy versus Honda battle in this one. Of course, Power is driving a Chevy, Dixon a Honda. Townsend.
Guys, Jared Hildebrand pitted from 7th place. Red sticker tires, Sunoco fuels getting packed in. They know they can't make it. They need a yellow to get to the end. Kevin?
Joseph Newgarden making what should be his final stop. Big race for that team. It's Sarah Fisher's home. A little bit slow on the outside rear, but not too bad. Newgarden looking for his first top 10 of his rookie season.
But that little miscue, so many cars go flying by you as you're just thinking, gotta work through it again.
Boy, a lot of traffic here on the keyhole. There's Ed Carpenter.
You called him the happiest man of the day. Why is that, Wally?
He struggled in the morning warm-up. I think he went off 3 times in the wet.
And then it dried up, so he's smiling.
Yep. J.R. Hildebrand right ahead of Pontano. Well, so far, Willpower has led every lap in 27 previous races here. It's never happened for the winner to lead every lap. Bobby Rahal led all but one in 1985, and Michael Andretti led all but one in 1991, as we see where the Target Chip Ganassi drivers are running right now.
They call it G1 and G2, and G2 is well behind G1 because G1's got a couple other guys on a 2-stop strategy.
Here's Marty with an update on Ryan Hunter-Reay.
And guys, a problem for our championship leader. He said, we have a problem. We have no power. He said something's wrong with the engine. They put it into emergency mode, and it seems to have fired up to some extent, but clearly a problem developing for our championship leader.
Oh, now he's calling. He's calling, where is emergency?
Ryan Briscoe on board, trying to get around him.
Michael Andretti was talking to him. That's his voice on the radio.
Boy, you can see the difference in power.
He just came by the booth. You could hear it was off song. It sounds like it's a misfire. It's not just low on power. It sounds sick.
Wow, this could be quite a swing points-wise today. I mean, you got Castanevis in 17th, and now problems with Ryan.
Remember, he took a grid penalty in Edmonton because they wanted the latest spec engine. Now, what if something happens to it?
Well, he's lost 2 positions here in the last lap, with both Briscoe and Hinchcliffe getting around Hunter-Reay, dropping him back to 8th position. And there's Tony Kanaan closing in on him. Right now, Power with a 3-point advantage on Ryan Hunter-Reay as they run.
Yeah, it's like shooting fish in a barrel here. I mean, he doesn't have a chance. He's just staying on the racetrack right now.
And as bad as it sounds, you've got to wonder whether he'll make it to the finish. You know, that is the thing about engine competition. Both Chevrolet, both these two cars are General Motors Chevrolet. And, oh, you can hear it when it comes by the booth. That is not a good sounding engine. Both they and Honda teams push, push, push all year, keep bringing upgrades, but they do occasionally fail.
There's Tony Kanaan passing him by and taking up the 8th position.
The only good thing, if there is a good thing, Hunter Ray's got, 10+ seconds on a bunch of the cars that are behind him. So I'm not sure how much he's losing per lap.
Now Hinchcliffe moves in on Ryan Briscoe. We have 3 Hondas and 2 Chevys in the top 5. Chevy leads and runs 3rd, 2nd, 4th, and 5th are Hondas.
He looks like he's about 3 to 4 seconds a lap slower being Ryan Hunter-Reay.
You could call this Honda's home track in a way. They have manufacturing facilities here, over 10,000 employees. They'd love to win this one.
Pagenaud comes in for his stop.
Scott Dixon was going to come in, but they told him one more lap for the 2nd lap in a row, so he's trying to hang on to as much fuel mileage as he can get and try to make it on one more stop. It's going to be sticker red for the last stint for Simon Pagenaud, but it's going to be very tight on that fuel mileage, Marty.
Ryan Briscoe has put on sticker blacks for the last stint of the race. They hold him here to make sure it gets completely full of fuel. They make an air pressure adjustment, trying to help some understeer. But Ryan Hunter-Reay, our championship leader, at the very head end of pit road. And boy, does that engine sound sick. They had to put on black sticker tires for Ryan Hunter-Reay. They send him back out. I think at this point they're just hoping that it lives until the end of the race, guys.
Look at this gaggle of cars.
Wow.
Now, Dixon went this far. You're right, Jan.
He has to get to lap 57, which is next lap. If he does that, he's okay. I mean, it's tight, but that's the number you have to hit.
Hildebrand racing with Ed Carpenter.
Oh, 3 wide.
Pagenaud trying to make a move. Oh, and look at Sato to the inside of Carpenter.
Newgarden goes with him.
Yep.
This new car on racetracks where there was very little passing in the past, all of a sudden there's heaps of passing.
Marty.
Well, the leaders on pit road, Scott Dixon behind Will Power. They're both going with sticker red tires. They're holding Will Power.
Oh!
They get a
He's going to get the lead.
And I believe Scott Dixon will win this race off pit road. That might change the complete complexion of this race.
Wow. Absolutely right. And Bourdais comes out in 3rd spot. So,
were they waiting on fuel, Marty, on Power's car?
Wally, they did hold Will for just a moment to make sure they got it completely full of fuel. Remember, they're on the 2-stop strategy, so you got to milk all the fuel you can get out of it.
Right, so, and if it's that close, you've got to wonder, did Dixon get what he needed to make it all the way? So that could have been the payoff right there. We'll see.
Some of the spotters working from grandstands here in Mid-Ohio. Time left on push to pass for both Dixon and Power.
Wow, that was definitely a defining moment. And you know, in the previous stop, Scott Dixon rolled a little bit before Power as well, but couldn't get it done. This time, it was enough to get by.
Yeah, but I think this was an obvious waiting for fuel on Powers. I think you're right. The last pit stop, they were matched. They were doing the same thing. But I think this time they just waited.
And they're waiting on Power, waiting on Power. Here comes Dixon on the way out. You can see the crew's like, we got it. Gets that position, and of course, Sebastian Bourdais. Let's see if the fuel got connected immediately. That's the...
They're definitely...
Well, the Target Chip Ganassi Racing team has been doing this a long time, and they know that they couldn't send Dixon unless he was full. I just think they may have got connected. Let's just watch the fuel hose and see if one gets connected more quickly. Yes, that's what it was. It took a fraction of a second longer for the fuel hose to go in on Power, and that's why Scott Dixon got out first.
Jan, keep in mind, Dixon had a clear pit entry, and there's time in that entry, that brake zone essentially from 60 miles an hour or 50 miles an hour to the pit box.
We're watching a battle for
Pagenaud almost.
I went back in my seat on that one.
This is a battle for 4th position. Bourdais and Pagenaud. And Bourdais, I might mention, visited Victory Lane at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway last Friday, co-winner of the very first Grand Am race that was held there. Hinchcliffe was the leader. He led 2 laps. makes the pit stop, and out he comes.
Oh, but he's going to cycle.
Yeah.
He will be cycling in a very good spot.
He's going to come out third, maybe. Well,
no, these guys have a head of steam, though.
Yeah.
He'll probably lose all 2, maybe all 3 of these spots. 2 or 3. Sorry, Dario.
Now we'll see if... Oh, there was some contact there.
Yeah, there may be some wing damage.
Oh,
Bet.
my.
Yeah.
Not good.
Contact between Hinchcliffe and Franchitti.
And the hits just keep coming for Franchitti.
Yep.
Well, this one, just misjudging. Yeah, just
there.
misjudging and getting too close.
I think he was looking to go to the inside, and right at the last second, he said, you know what, looks like Hinch is coming over, I'm going left, and it just wasn't enough room.
Bourdais and Pagenaud, it seems, have been racing all race long, and they still are together, third and fourth.
Bourdais a little bit heavier on the push to passes. He's actually in the best shape as far as the guys in the top 8 right now.
Wow, look at the interval that Dixon has opened up over Will Power. It's almost 3 seconds back to second place Will.
Hey, Wally, one thing I was just thinking about watching Dario clip the back end there is a longtime veteran it's hard to remember that those wheel covers are back there. I think you're judging off the end of that gearbox, and when you pull out, you forget the extension off of the rear tire.
Yeah, that's a great point.
We've seen a lot of that this year.
Yeah, that's a good point. You, when you're so used to, timing it a certain way, and all of a sudden you've got that extra foot of body work up there. Yeah, you're right.
Hildebrand, Newgarden, and Kanaan here. That is 7th, 8th, and 9th. Dixon around to complete another lap. There are now, thank you, 24 laps to go. Once again, let's review the pit stop.
So the thing I think you want to focus in on is the fuel probes for each of the cars. So as soon as they come to a stop, focus in here and then here. And you could see a slight delay for Will Power, and I think that Townsend's right on the money in that braking zone. The way that Scott Dixon had a clear lane in, they could get that fuel probe in immediately, and he gained time being able to brake later.
The winningest active driver in the Eyes-On IndyCar history here at Mid-Ohio is leading once again by 2.5 seconds over Will Power. You're watching ESPN on ABC as we go side by side. Well, there's Scott Dixon, who continues to lead by about 2 seconds over Will Power. We had a couple of slide-offs here in the, as you saw on side-by-side, at least one of them is Ryan Hunter-Reay. Of course, here is Sebastian Bourdais still running fourth, but he too had an off-course excursion a moment ago.
Pagenaud to the outside.
Ooh, he just bumped it in there a little bit too hard.
This is Ryan Hunter-Reay.
Yeah, he got tapped.
Yeah.
I believe, yeah. He did a good job. He stayed on the throttle, and I can't believe as wet as it is out there. He got back on the racetrack and continued.
Yeah, uphill, but he made it. No cautions. Sato and Pontono here. And Ryan Hunter-Reay flies off the racetrack. So that puts Ryan Hunter-Reay back in 21st position. Boy, a big points hit.
Yeah, our top two guys are not having the days they want.
And speaking of Ryan Hunter-Reay, Marty, you were telling me during the break they think they know what's wrong with his engine.
Yeah, they diagnosed the problem, Jan, for Ryan Hunter-Reay. The injectors are basically dumping too much fuel into the engine. It is a problem they can fix under caution, but not something they can do in the green. They'll just simply lose too much time. Now, Ryan Hunter-Reay does have to pit with about 5 or 6 laps to go. They're short on fuel, so they will come down pit road. They don't think they can get the problem solved in that short amount of time, however. You see Dario Franchitti on the racetrack right now in the nose that does not match. They came to pit road, and they changed the wing a moment ago, and actually they have the wing in the back of the pit stall. A lot of damage to the right side of that wing, and Dario had to get that changed back on the racetrack with a wing that doesn't match, but at least it's going forward.
Doesn't match the color scheme. Sorry, he's going to have to come back.
Black flag him.
Man, you know, what a difference when you look at Dario Franchitti. What a difference a year makes, or actually the last couple of years. When things are going your way and you take a championship, but boy, when they don't, it's just snowballed on Dario this year.
Yep.
Now that one, you can't chalk that up to bad luck. That was unfortunately just a little bit of misjudgment.
But he's made a couple of those this year too.
Yep.
On pit lane.
Scott Dixon and Dario Franchitti and Juan Pablo Montoya. You'll be seeing their faces on boxes of Kellogg's cereal here before long. I found out over the weekend, Wally, that's Jan's all-time hopeful situation. He wants to be on a box of cereal.
Carton of milk I've seen him on. Box of cereal.
There are the points as they run. Ryan Hunter-Reay 5 behind Will Power now.
And the reason that came up is because Bob Jenkins has been on the cereal box, and I was green with envy.
It was never distributed, but yes, they did make me a box.
So you have a box.
Yes.
And I good going, Bob.
Yeah, thank you. Here comes Bourdais ahead of Hinchcliffe. 4th, 5th, 6th. This has been a great race. It really has been. These cars, a lot of the cars have just hung together. A lot of passing, and as was the case in Edmonton, we thought, sure, we'd have at least one caution. So far, with 18 laps to go, no caution, and a lot of passing.
I don't think anybody wants to get off. I mean, a couple of guys that did have done a great job staying on, but it's just wet as usually you don't stop until you hit something after it rains like it did here this morning and last night.
Hey, Wally, one thing that was going through my mind is how exhausted these guys are going to be. I mean, a green flag start to finish run at Mid-Ohio. This is one of the most physical racetracks of the schedule, if not the hardest. It's hot, it's humid. Let's watch to see if anybody starts to make a mistake as they wear out at the end of this run.
Yeah, you're right. There's not much place. You get down the backstretch, you can rest a little bit, but there's still a turn in the middle of the backstretch, basically.
And this new car produces more downforce, so every one of the corners is making higher G-forces on the brakes, higher G-forces in some of the high-speed turns. We already mentioned 4.5 Gs. That is a whale of a side load in turn 1. Well, there goes Newgarden.
He's coming in. Joseph Newgarden was running in 6th spot, and here he is for his final pit stop, Kevin.
So Newgarden wasn't going to make it. His last pit stop before was on 54, so there was no way without a lot of caution that they were going to make it. So they go ahead and come in early. They will change to the primary blacks, and they will be able to run hard the rest of the way.
Had a good race, though, the rookie from the Nashville, Tennessee area. Here comes Sebastian Bourdais, again running in 4th position, about 5 seconds behind the leader, Scott Dixon. Firestone lap leaders, Will Power has been in front for 57 of the laps. Dixon 9, and he continues to increase that number. James Hinchcliffe has won 2. Let's talk to Jay Penske.
Great run so far for Sebastian Bourdais. For Jay, how are you on fuel, though? Are you going to be able to make it the rest of the way?
Yeah, the Chevy Power True Car's just done great all day. We're good to go to the end on fuel. We're just trying to get close to these guys so we can give it a shot.
Sebastian Bourdais won 4 straight Champ Car titles from 04 to 07 and making a very good showing here today at Mid-Ohio, by far his best race of the season so far, running in the 4th spot. There's Scott Dixon. This is the 8th race that Scott has led this season. That ties him with Power for the most races led. And look at this. Ryan Hunter-Reay goes a lap down.
And that thing is sounding worse and worse every time he comes by our booth here, Jan. Be lucky if he gets to the finish with that engine.
At least we found out now it's an injector putting in too much fuel. These engines are pretty high tech. They're direct injected. In fact, the highest RPM direct injected engines that there are out there in racing trim. But you definitely don't want to be putting too much fuel in.
Hildebrand in 6th spot, having a pretty good run. Just watch here. I guess this is his drink tube that's flying around. And not that it's in your way, but it's aggravating. And I mean, it's a distraction.
Well, especially a track that's going left and right and left and right. That thing's going back and forth. As you get tired and you get worn down, that becomes more and more annoying.
Just 15 laps to go in the Mid-Ohio 200 at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. We'll return after these messages from our ABC stations. Here is the leader of our race, Scott Dixon, and he has almost a 3-second lead. 5 caution flags, the most caution laps, 19 today here at Mid-Ohio. Not a single lap under caution. And a dozen laps to go for Scott. This is only the 4th race that Scott Dixon has led at Mid-Ohio. Every time he's led here prior to today, he has gone on to win the race. Can he do it today?
You know, we talked about the points earlier on the top of the show. We kind of said, you know, Dixon's really got to do something even for him to have a shot. But with the way the 2 front guys of the points have running, this puts him back into play.
It does. Of course, Will Power is very close to him, the next position behind. But for Ryan Hunter-Reay, this obviously bodes well for Dixon.
Let's check in with our pit reporters. First, Kevin Lee.
Well, Scott Dixon with a very comfortable 2.4-second lead right now. 57. Lap 57 was the last time he pitted. They thought they might have to come in a couple of laps early, so they were able to stretch that first stint, and that's what put them on pace to be able to finish without stopping again. So they think they're good, Marty.
Very frustrating for Will Power. Lost the lead on pit road. They did that a couple of years ago. Lost the lead to Scott Dixon here at Mid-Ohio on pit road. Fuel-wise, Will Power good to go, but still having to conserve time-wise because they got to stretch it to the very end, Kevin.
Simon Pagenaud came in 1 lap earlier on what he hopes is his last stop, so he's in a much more iffy circumstance than both Dixon and Power, so we'll keep an eye on Pagenaud if he's able to maintain his pace. Then next we have Sebastian Bourdais. He's on the same cycle, came in the same lap, the first Sunoco pit stop and the second one with Dixon and Power, so he should be good to go, and Jake Penske told us a few moments ago that he's good to go. Now we go back to 5th and James Hinchcliffe. Should any of these front 4 have an issue, this is the driver ready to pounce. He's on a 3-stop strategy and last came in on 59, so he has at least 2 laps on the other leaders, Townsend.
Behind Hinch in 6th position is J.R. Hildebrand. He's been on the pace and fast, but he's been burning too much fuel. He's going to have to stop again. I understand he's about 5 laps short. Behind him, Tony Kanaan in 7th. He's been informed that Hildebrand does have to pit in front of him, but Tony Kanaan, I'm told, is good to go to the end.
James Jakes is going to have to pit. He came in earlier than everybody else. We look back, and there he comes around the corner. This is still a really good day for Jakes, though, if he could make it, but I don't think he's going to. 8th is his best finish of his IndyCar career. Townsend?
Yeah, Marco Andretti currently P9. He's having a good run, strong run, if not a little unspectacular, but he's good on fuel to end on the same strategy as the leaders.
Well, very pleased to hear all that news. Is back in 10th, Ryan Briscoe, who needs to make up a few spots. If all those guys do indeed run out of fuel, Briscoe can make up a few positions. Cars had a lot of understeer today, but in terms of Sunoco fuel, good to go to the end for Ryan Briscoe.
There are your top 10 as they stand right now with less than 10 laps to go. We've had 3 leaders and 2 lead changes. Scott Dixon, the man of the hour right now. Watching this battle between Andretti and Ryan Briscoe for 9th position. That, of course, is Ed Carpenter running right ahead of them. He's running 22nd, a lap down to the field. And Ryan Hunter-Reay will hit pit lane. He was the last car on the, I beg your pardon, he is a lap down, but is coming in. And James Jakes mentioned that he's going to need a pit stop, and he has made it as he comes out right ahead of Ryan Hunter-Reay, Marty.
Yep, here comes our championship leader. Here's what they're going to do, Bob. They're going to pull the engine cover off of the 28 car. Try to do this as quickly as they can. If there is a quick fix, they think there may be one quick fix. If they can do it, they're going to do it here under green. If they cannot get it done, they will put it back on. You hear the radio conversation. They will fuel him, get him back out on pit road. So they're trying to save as many points as they can today. Do this as quickly as possible, but our championship leader sitting here on pit road, not where he expected to be, with green laps still going on.
Hopeless feeling for Ryan Hunter-Reay. And with just 3 races to go after this was a big hit for him.
And as you look at the top 3 cars, that was what I took from the up to speed Hildebrand leaving pit road.
And guys, they did not fix the engine for Ryan Hunter-Reay. Sounded very sick when it left pit road. So our championship leader going to take an even bigger hit. They did not get that engine fixed.
A starting to say that what I heard and what I took from Up to Speed is that Pagenaud in third right now is the one you'd want to be concerned about, because he did stop one lap earlier than those around him. He would be the one in the most fuel trouble trying to make it to the end.
Well, the way Dixon's running, it doesn't look like he's worried about fuel.
No. He learned how to save fuel here back during the engine competition days when he drove for Toyota. They rented the track when there were no testing limitations. That's Pagenaud's radio. And Scott Dixon tested day after day after day, and they just kept working on fuel economy until they found exactly the techniques that work for him, and he's used that to good avail for years.
Pagenaud, your third place runner. It's been 25 years since the last time we had back-to-back caution-free races. Final 2 races at Laguna Seca and Tamiami Park in 1987. Both ran without a caution. Again, less than 7 laps to go. Hopefully we can go the rest of the way without a caution.
I would think these push-to-pass lights will start lighting up here pretty quick.
Except for Pagenaud. I think he could be in a little trouble as far as speed. I mean, he'll most likely back off, but he's going to have to back off a lot if he stopped a whole lap earlier than those around him.
Helio Castroneves is running in 16th position. The weekend began with a crash during practice in which he hurt his left hand, and then he had to take the 10-position grid penalty for changing engines. Not a real good weekend for Helio Castroneves, who is third in the points going in, will remain there, but right now as they run, he is 26 behind Will Power. Marty?
Bob, I'm going to go out on a limb and say I think Helio's done with Mid-Ohio for 2012. It goes all the way back to the test here last week. Got in a big crash in that and missed a lot of that testing time. Then he comes here and gets in the crash you mentioned Saturday, and he's had a head cold he's been dealing with all week. He's been really sick. Couldn't get out of bed earlier this week back at home. So I think he's just ready to be done with Mid-Ohio, but happy that he will stay third in the championship standings. That's a good day in the overall picture for Helio Castroneves.
I think these guys have been fast enough to be a top 5 car today, Marty. With this race, which I don't think anybody expected would be caution-free, it didn't give him the track position he needed for a caution because he started, so far back.
5 laps to go. Tony Kanaan running in 6th position has had a very good race today.
Bob, interesting for Tony Kanaan. This is his, I think, 190-some-odd consecutive start. He moves to second all-time in consecutive starts behind his team owner, Jimmy Vasser, the Iron Man.
Started in 18th position, has gained 12 since the drop of the green flag. Hinchcliffe and Contino and Rahal have each improved 10 positions during this race, and Helio up 7 from his 23rd starting position.
And we saw, Wally, him take 3 or 4 in one move.
Right.
Coming out of the keyhole.
Kanaan finished 18th a couple of weeks ago in Edmonton, but had a string of 3 top 5 finishes prior to that. Second in Milwaukee, third at Iowa, and 4th at Toronto.
And that's just another thing. These guys gamble on the 3 stops, and it is a gamble. I mean, the cautions are such a part of these races anymore that if they come your way, you look like a hero. And it just the guys that have stuck with the 2-tire deal. I mean, they've got the track position and it's working for them.
What's surprising to me is Simon Pagenaud is hanging there with Will Power. For a guy who stopped the lap early, he still seems like he's okay for speed.
Maybe he saved enough fuel prior. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see who gets to the checker. I know you think those guys can make it up front, but
the top 3.
I'm still wondering.
Yeah,
Dixon, Power, and Bourdais, I'm confident are okay. I'm not so sure about Pagenaud.
Guys, Scott Dixon was just told by Mike Hull, keep saving here. Even though we're good on fuel, we want to make sure we have plenty for the last lap or so sprint in case Will Power is conserving and can really go after it. So he's going to make it, but they're still being conservative right now just in case they need to sprint on that last lap.
Or spend some donuts, or who knows. You might want some fuel for something extra.
Little over 6 miles remaining in this race. It was first Power and then Dixon and Ryan Hunter-Reay, Marty.
And guys, the engine did not last the entire day for Ryan Hunter-Reay. In fact, he thought there might have been a fire at one point. They told him to come on in, bring it to pit road. They are done for the day. Our championship leader climbing out before the race is over.
Wow.
Yeah, well, they really didn't have a whole lot to lose. They were already 24th. They weren't going to lose any more positions anyway.
Well, they timed it out because Serbia is 7 laps down and they're 3, so they made sure that if they stopped now, it wouldn't change their position. So that's why they waited with 3 to go.
Going to be 5 behind Power when the checkered flag drops, and it will do so in less than 3 laps. Scott Dixon, I think you could say, owns this place. He has been so good here at Mid-Ohio with 3 victories coming into today's race.
And you know, it was the pit crew that, well, his approach to the pit box and his pit crew, that combination, it's definitely a team. This is a team victory if he brings it home, Bob, because that was, as we saw, clearly won on pit road.
Emerson Fittipaldi also won 3 races here at Mid-Ohio in 88, 92, and 93. No one has won 4 races here at Mid-Ohio in the Eyes on IndyCar Series. Advantage almost 3 seconds over Will Power. Bourdais a little wide there in the corner. Racing with Simon Pagenaud, but that dropped him back a couple of seconds. Into Thunder Valley. Second place Power and third place Pagenaud. Dixon will come around and take the white flag. 1 more lap to go in this Mid-Ohio 200.
Pagenaud just doesn't look like he's worried about fuel either right now to me.
He's actually pushing Power.
And again, Ryan Hunter-Reay cannot lose any more points. But Scott Dixon is going to gain some in the battle for the championship for 2012, which has, in a few yards, shall we say, 3 races remaining. Next is Sonoma, California, the road course, then the street course in Baltimore, Maryland, and the season ends on the oval at Fontana, California, a 500-miler. Just a great performance from Scott Dixon. He and the crew that got him out ahead of Will Power has resulted in a victory for Scott Dixon, his 4th here at Mid-Ohio, 29th of his career, 2nd win this season. He also won at Detroit. Will Power 2nd, Pagenaud made it to the end. Sebastian Bourdais finishes 4th, and James Hinchcliffe comes home in 5th spot. Ryan Briscoe got around Marco Andretti on the last lap, and Briscoe will finish in 7th. And here is how that pass occurred.
Into turn 4.
Saw a lot of that exact same kind of pass today. Nice job.
A caution-free race at Mid-Ohio. The winner is Scott Dixon. We'll be back to talk with him in Victory Lane in a moment. The day here at Mid-Ohio started with drenching rain. Partly cloudy skies above, but the sun is shining on Scott Dixon, who has won his 4th race here at this historic facility. taking off the helmet in victory lane, finishing officially 3.4 seconds ahead of Will Power. Pagenaud, Bourdais, and Hinchcliffe completed the top 5, with Tony Kanaan finishing 6th. Briscoe, Andretti, Hildebrand, and Tagliani completed the top 10. Down to Kevin.
Scott Dixon climbing atop the number 9 Target Chip Ganassi car, celebrating his 4th win here at Mid-Ohio. He's won more IndyCar races than anyone at this course. Emerson Fittipaldi had won 3 times. And there's Chip Ganassi, his 4th straight win as a team here at this course. And Scott Dixon now has tied Rick Mears with his 29th win. That's 10th all-time on the IndyCar wins list. What is about this place?
Oh, I don't know, man. You know, and yesterday I thought we were in a bit of a hole after qualifying. You know, we burnt the front tires off, but we started the race struggling a little bit too. We just couldn't get the front to grip up, and you know, it seemed like other people were struggling a little bit more. We were making fuel, and that's what got it for us today. You know, we were able to stretch, maintain the pace, but huge credit to the team. The pit stop was fantastic. That got me in front, but got to say hi to Emma back home, Poppy and Tilly as well. But what a fantastic day! It puts us back in the hunt.
Yeah, you're now up to, you were still 4th. You're still 4th, but you're 28 back instead of 61, and you're within 2 of 3rd. Let's talk about that last pit stop. You were stalking Will Power all day. What kind of an advantage was it when you come in and he has to come around you?
Yeah, it definitely makes a difference, you know, and this is the shortest pit boxes that we have throughout the whole season. So, you know, it's been tough in the pits, but you know, I got to hand it to, you know, obviously our pit guys. You know, the Target guys have been super slick this year. Coming in with an open pit definitely helped because, you know, Pagenaud had already pitted. So huge credit to the boys, and strategy was fantastic. You know, just a great day for us. 28 points out. You know, we're well in the hunt now.
There's Mike Hull, who called your race. I heard you guys debating whether you wanted to go with blacks or scuffed reds, and you told me before the race, relatively speaking, I think we might be better on blacks, but you decided on the reds.
Yeah, the reds, you know, I think we had tuned the car better for the reds. You know, we still were a bit loose once we made the adjustments for the reds, but at the end there was more about getting mileage and maintaining pace. You know, we were able to get wicked mileage out of the Honda engine and still maintain pace, you know, quicker than the others. So, you know, so happy for everybody at Team Target. Obviously, Honda winning at a Honda track is big for us.
Congratulations.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
That's Scott Dixon, very much back in the championship chase as he looks for number 3. Marty?
Well, Will Power got to watch that replay of the pit stop. How frustrating is that to watch it over again and then live it on the racetrack?
Yeah, I mean, man, it's such tight pit boxes here, and obviously he had a clean in and we had a tight in, so that some of that was me getting in, and you know, it's hard for the fuel to get in clean because he's got to step back to my front wing to swing in. So still a very good points day. You know, happy to get the Verizon car on the podium, and we'll keep chasing after it. We'll get a win here soon and keep going after that championship.
As we check out your onboard of that pit stop, I know you also were making fuel all day long. Had that not been a factor and you'd been able to race Scott, do you feel like you could have beaten him straight up?
We couldn't have passed him on track. I don't think that would have been possible. It's just so hard here. It's such a fast course and it's really difficult to get close, but you know, maybe if we didn't have to save fuel, we could have pulled a bit of a gap. But, I mean, he's playing the same game. Like, he was doing a bloody good job. So he's always tough to beat around here, and he got us again.
I do have some good news. You're the championship leader.
Well, that was our objective. I mean, we really wanted to win a race, but, you know, we just need to keep chipping away.
All right, he is a leader by 5 points.
Well, Marty, I'm here with Simon Pagenaud. Simon started 3rd, finished 3rd. Man, you're running with the big dogs. You are a big dog. My teammate from Indy. Heck of a run. Congratulations.
Thanks, TV. It's nice to hear. The team has done such a great job. The HP car was unbelievable weekend. You know, I'm very proud of, you know, everybody says the same, but actually I'm really, really proud of the team because we made such a step forward this weekend. We just needed that extra front grip that we were looking for so long, and we got it this weekend. The engineers got it spot on. And, you know, when it's a teamwork like this, it's so enjoyable. You know, finishing 3rd behind those 2 guys is, you know, it's a nice thing. And I think, you know, we've got 2 more steps to climb, but we're knocking at the door, which is nice.
Well, Mid-Ohio's an awesome track. We're going to watch here on the monitor. We got some tight racing from today. Just want some comments here. I don't know who you're coming up on. Looks like someone's sticking a nose. Oh, that's Tag.
That was a close one, man. That was yeah, Briscoe was coming out of the pits, and Tag was coming up on me. And I was pretty cold tires at the time. The blacks, we didn't have a really good car on black, so it was difficult then. Went on the push to pass there. Kanaan fly by as he always does. Pretty amazing on restarts.
Did you ever think this run was going to go green flag the whole time?
I thought so. You know, the field is really, really strong. There's not many drivers making mistakes anymore. It's so tight. Everybody's on top of the game right now. So, Yeah, I thought it could happen unless it was raining.
All right, bud. Well, great run. Kevin's there with James Hinchcliffe.
And he's first of those that did the 3-stop strategy today. That worked out pretty nicely.
Yeah, you know, from where we qualified, that was the only chance we had, and we pitted early on lap 7 there, and then after that, man, it was qualifying lap after qualifying lap. I don't think I've been this tired after a race in a long time, but great strategy by the GoDaddy guys, great job in the pits, and you know, we proved the car was quicker than we qualified. We knew that all along, so this was an impressive way to, you know, move up to the top 5 again.
How much did you need a result today?
Big time. You know, we started off so strong, and we've just had this unbelievable run of bad luck, and you know, my mistake in Iowa, so it's nice to bounce back, get back in the top 5, and you know, we weren't sure what to expect after where we qualified, but it's just great to be back up here. You know, congrats to Scott, Mr. Mid-Ohio. I mean, I feel like Will's the real winner because if Scott's on the track, you're only battling for second, so good job to him, but just happy for the boys to get this result, and hopefully we can carry this forward for the rest of the year.
Good run. He said before the race, we just need to do what we did early in the season, and we'll get back to where we have been. Marty?
Well, Ryan Hunter-Reay comes in as the championship leader. He will leave in second place in the championship, and kind of digesting the day. I guess, A, how frustrating was it, and B, do we even know what it was at the end of the day?
The engine failed in a slow, miserable way, unfortunately. You know, we really didn't need this right now. I think we could have had a third today. You know, based on the fuel strategy that we were on, we were running good pace, and guys did a great job. It's just, man, 30% of our races now have ended this way, and but we can still make this happen. We can still go win this championship, but we can't have days like this. We just can't. And you know, don't want to wish any ill will on our competitors, but it's time for Penske and Power to have some of these issues going on too. But no, Chevy's done a great job for us. It's just you know, they're new motors, they're new engines, and I don't know why we've been having quite a bit of the issues this year, but we can still make this happen. You know, we're gonna leave here. We're gonna leave here upbeat. And we're gonna go try and win this championship. There's 3 races to go, and 3 races that we can be really strong at. So we're just we're going to go out there and fight this thing to the bitter end, that's for sure.
I was going to say, as not only the driver, but a leader in the team, how do you spin this in a positive way and refocus the guys going forward to Sonoma?
Well, we know that the month of July that we can be very strong, and when we are strong, we can win races, and that's what we have to go on. We have to go on that, and we have to really just operate that way, doing what we did, doing what we know how to do, and showing up to a race weekend, not missing a detail, and make the most of it, really. And if we do that, we'll be putting ourselves in a position to win races. So that's really what it's going to take. And you know, we really wanted to win today for DHL, Sundrop, and Chevrolet, but it's you know, it's going to make it that much more challenging. We had a 24 point lead coming in. Now we're down by 2. So this is going to be tough.
I'll leave you with something positive. You get the save of the day. Check this out. When you went down in the grass, how did you? You were almost the first caution of the day, but you saved it. How did you get that thing back up on the track?
You know, with driving under that with no horsepower like that, it was so hard staying out of everybody's way, and then Sato just nudged in there at the last second. But yeah, I was surprised I kept that going. Do I get any bonus?
We'll give you an honorary point. I don't think it counts for anything, but
honorary point. Yeah, sure. All right, I'll go tell Bo that in race control.
All right, Wally and Jan are going to work on that for you. All right, they get an honorary point for that nice save, boys.
And talk about honorary points. There's one thing that Michael Andretti made a great decision at the end. He did not finish the race. If you don't finish the race, you don't get an engine penalty. If he would have struggled and misfired and finished the race, next race, he would have had a 10 grid penalty, but because he pulled in, he won't, and he'll have a fresh engine.
All right, so a 24th place finish for Ryan Hunter-Reay, but a first place finish for Scott Dixon as he comes home victorious again, and he is now tied for 10th on the all-time win list with the legendary Rick Mears. More from Mid-Ohio when we come back.
Well, thanks, Bob. I'm down here with Sebastian Bourdais. You want to talk about a guy that pushed from start to finish, started 6th, finished 4th. Sebastian, you must be very proud of this Dragon team.
Yeah, very proud of that True Car McAfee entry. I think, you know, everything that could go wrong this year did go wrong, and for the first time we can put the result in the bank, and it feels awful good, and I couldn't be any happier. Obviously, you know, you always want to go for the podium and everything, but, you know, just to get the big points for us for the top 22 and the honors points, it's very important, so a great day.
Congratulations. I know you're fired up to get to Sonoma. Kevin?
I'm sitting with Tony Kanaan. He's been sick for about 10 days, so in a race with no yellows, you're pretty spent, right?
I mean, I told the guys I gave everything I could, and, you know, I got to thank them because they did a great job on the strategy for me. I pushed as hard as I could, so thank the sponsors, you know, Geico, Mauser, and everybody for for the support, but I'm wiped. So I want to apologize to the people on TV that were sitting down, but I couldn't get up.
It's a good excuse for me. I was ready for a break as well. From 18th to 6th, and a place that doesn't have a reputation for being racy was pretty racy today, especially mid-pack where you were coming through.
Definitely, and I think that shows the competitive of this car, how this car is good in racing. I saw the crowd was extremely happy after the race. No yellows. I mean, the toughest racetrack of the year, the most physical one, which is this one with no yellows, that made everybody work really hard. So I had fun, I can say that. And I mean, I had to push from lap 1 until the last lap.
Good run today.
Thank you.
Tony Kanaan finishes 6th.
Okay, here are the final results. Sebastian Bourdais in 4th position. That's his best finish in open wheel racing since he won the final Champ Car race in 2007 in Mexico City. James Hinchcliffe has his first top 5 since Milwaukee.
And when you look at Simon Pagenaud and Sebastian Bourdais there, Sebastian Bourdais was the one who made the call to allow Pagenaud as sort of his protege to get in, and he finishes right behind him today.
And here are the final 5 positions. They will include, of course, Ryan Hunter-Reay, who did not finish the race, finishing in the 24th position. Oriol Servia also 7 laps behind at the end of the race. All right, let's take a look at the point standings as they stand as we go to Sonoma and 3 more races to go. Power has a 5-point advantage on Ryan Hunter-Reay. And then there is a real close battle between Castro Neves and Scott Dixon. And Hinchcliffe and Pagenaud are not separated by very many points. So a good championship battle shaping up for the final 3 races of the year.
Yeah, how things change. I mean, you look at that group at the beginning of the race, and all of a sudden you have 2 of your top guys that didn't have good finishes, and it changes the whole picture of this points race. So.
You still like Castro Neves?
Well, I mean, I do. But, I mean, Dixon did what he had to do, and the other guys had problems. So, I said he's going to have a good race, and, boy, he did.
I still like Power, so I'm looking good.
There is the podium, Dixon, Power, and Pagenaud as they receive their trophies here at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Scott Dixon, the winner, here this afternoon. The Mid-Ohio 200 is the final race of the 2012 season here on ABC, a season that included our 48th consecutive year of covering the Indianapolis 500. The final 3 events this year will be on the NBC Sports Network, including the season closer, a 500-miler in Fontana, California, September the 15th. Thanks for being with us today. For Jan Bikas, Wally Dallenbach, Marty Snyder, Kevin Lee, and Townsend Bell, I'm Bob Jenkins. So long from Mid-Ohio.